Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Chill Film Discussion. It's been a while. Happy New Year, everyone. Um, we never really got around to, you know, passing on or saying farewell to 2022.
Yeah.
Uh, Mainly, I think, you know, busy with the holidays and whatnot. But we're back again. Yeah. So today we kind of uh, reviewed slash discussed Howdy with a Chance of Meatballs. It's an animated film that's like sort of like a comedy sci-fi esque film that's based on the children's novel of the same name.
hmm
In terms of this, but in terms of plot, it's very different. Um, yeah, there's this main cast of characters that who are played by pretty prominent actors. I think we have like um, oh man, now I'm blanking, and I don't, but is it Bill Hader? Yeah,
Yeah.
Bill Hader,
Bill
Anna
Hader,
Faris,
Anna
Joe
Faris.
Harris,
Yep.
Mr. T. Um, and so like overall, the voice acting is very good. I have no gripes with the voice acting. I think it's very solid performances all around. I think the animation is good as well. In fact, this is Sony Animation Pictures' last film before they were acquired by Columbia Pictures. Um, but the animation was pretty decent too. Actually, it was a lot surprising considering this film was released in 2009, and I thought based on animation it was actually going to be later. Like I thought it was like early mid 2010s,
After
but this is
2010.
actually like
Yeah.
2009. Pretty impressive. The plot is very straightforward. I
hmm
mean, it's basically like town. It gets falling food from a machine that was created by main character.
Right.
Machine goes haywire, mutates food. Food becomes dangerous. Now we gotta cut off the machine. That's essentially the plot. Um, but there are some nice characters, subplots, like character relationships that are resolved because of this ordeal, particularly between him and his dad. I think that was the most important subplot that I thought was very emotionally riveting. It's probably the most mature emotional beat throughout this film.
hmm
And also like some nice thematic messaging between him and his romantic interest, Flint. Him as in Flint, the main character, and the romantic interest Sam Sparks. Uh,
Right.
trying to like more or less trying to like don't necessarily hide yourself, just like it's better to be yourself. No need to hide.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think overall like I really did enjoy the thing that I enjoyed most about this film was probably like the climax resolution
hmm
or the resolution of the climax because essentially everything there's a lot of payoff between like all the characters who were involved in the climax, trying to uh, turn down the machine. And also like even his like Flint's past inventions were involved to help, you know, both save him and uh, turn off the machine or get rid of the machine.
Yeah.
So it was it was really nice. I just thought it was like there's a lot of um like everything that was sort of like mentioned in the film. A lot of things that were mentioned in the film got like returned for like with a purpose,
Right.
and there was like a payoff for it, which is like always nice to see.
hmm
Uh, because it's like adds to the organization, the cohesiveness of the plot of the story.
Right.
So overall, like straightforward, but like pretty decent. Like I think might be my second time watching it. I don't really remember the first time. I haven't much impression the first time, but like a lot more decent than I
yeah.
remembered. Than I like, So yeah,
Okay.
that's it for me. How about you, Mr. Austin?
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar there. Like I've watched this movie before, but I don't remember too much of it. But now that I've watched, like, yeah, I mean, it's pretty, as you said, pretty straightforward plot. Nothing too complex, right? This definitely, the
Yeah,
demographic is for a younger audience, but it can be enjoyed by a lot of people because I think the writing is all right. It's not like the best, and some of the jokes maybe are not very very simple, right? It's kind of slapstick and almost some of the very very literal, right? But you can I think it can be appreciated, right, by all ages, honestly, and understood, which is important, right? Um, but yeah, as you said, the animation here is good. It's good visual, medium for everyone to kind of take into it. So I think that, that kind of helps as well. As you said, like it doesn't seem like it's a film from like 2009. You think it might be later just because of the quality. So I
Mhm.
think it's a testament of the hard work I think that people put into to making it, which is good. Um, I think in itself, writing was probably the biggest sticking point. But even then, it wasn't something that was like too cringy, not too much like exposition, kind of laden into it, right? You kind of have that all in the beginning, but then the whole movie kind of uh, goes with its own plot afterwards, right? With its own characters, evolving and growing and having their own conflicts and trying to resolve it. Which it's again straightforward, very simple. He tries to you know gain fame and appreciation and love from his, not just the town but his father, right? And
Mhm.
then he goes on to fix that mistake of when it goes too far, right? And then it's there's this whole fun kind of gimmick where the food falls in the sky and then becomes mutated and destructive, right?
Mhm.
I think, yeah, I do appreciate the relationship between his Flint and his father, but I think it's kind of nuanced in that it's not your usual theme of generational conflict, right? Where one is set in their own ways, like the older generation is set in their own ways, and the newer generation is trying to do something more, trying to change the status quo, right? And they have this conflict that they don't understand each other. I think here it's more like the father does appreciate his son, does approve, because usually it's not. I think they try to change their children, for the what they think is for the better, and try to follow the old ways. But here I think the father is very appreciative of the son. You kind of see evidence of him, like when Flint is growing up, of him always participating in these experiments, right? I think
Mhm.
the father is trying to now, after all this kind of accommodating his son. He kind of wants his son to, to grow up, right? He doesn't, not to always be an inventor, but to take on his legacy. Then, which is a little bit, similar to other, I guess, plots. But here, it's I think coming from a place. I mean, usually, parents, that they're doing it from a place of love, but here it's like, yeah, you've tried all these things. Why don't you try something different now? Because you've already done it before. Before, I think it's like, the parents are usually not as accommodating. Here, the father's pretty accommodating, but then, is not able to communicate his love for his son. It's not until, we see later, the monthly translator strapped to him, he's able to communicate his love and appreciation for his son. And because of that, Flint takes everything the wrong way, doesn't see it. There's no outright, words being said, right, to say I love you, right? But he always wants that affection, right? And as you pointed out, Patrick, it's kind of a foil through Officer Earl, right, in the movie, who kind of is the flip of that, always being expressive towards his son, which I didn't pick up, but I think that subtlety is what that theme kind of changes. It makes this film unique from a lot of other films with these generational differences that you don't really see too often.
Mhm.
And then, but yeah, I think the rest of this film, that the cast was great, the characters were great. I think some of it was a bit cheesy, especially Flint. He's again, but Flint, while he is a bit cheesy and whatnot, is because I think his character is meant for to be relatable to a younger audience watching him, right? So that's why he acts like a child, acts childish and whatnot, a little bit immature, right? He has his own spray-on shoes and whatnot. But everything, and then there's a lot of plot conveniences too. But again, they help move the movie forward. But again, they are conveniences, but you don't really think of it. And then another sticking point I think was just the character of Brent. He was, I feel like, randomly tacked on the climax. I feel like his character and Earl could have been switched in terms of like where they're playing the real comics. But that's just me. But yeah, overall, this movie, what is entertaining, right? You can watch it. I watched it. I
Yeah.
can sit through it, right? It's not something like, oh yeah, why am I watching? Like this is like so like not entertaining or stupid. This is not the case. I mean, yes, some of the jokes are maybe are simple, but it's something that you can watch and sit through. But maybe not for everyone. So.
Sure. Well said, Mr. Austin. um, so now, the most important part, our final rating. Um, Would you like to go first? We usually change it up a bit. I usually go
Sure.
first, but
I think I'd probably give this movie a 6.5. Um, it's definitely
okay.
like your almost like your average movie, but I think it's a little bit above average in terms of like its themes and just it's still enjoyable, right? And
Yep.
I might even kind of recommend it, but I think I'd be again a little skeptical for recommending it just because again I think it is aimed for a younger audience. But if you do watch it, you could again sit through it, maybe enjoy it, right? But it's probably best watched with somebody younger, right? You could to fully appreciate, right? Like, I think they'll probably appreciate it more. But as a parent or someone else, you could watch it. Not get. I don't think you would get sick of watching it, but that's why there's a bit of caveat there. But it's an entertaining film overall.
Yeah. I'd give it a 7. I
So,
think um it's definitely above average.
mm-hmm,
In terms of like mainly because like I mean the plot itself is like cohesive. It makes sense. There is it's not like all over the place. There's clear themes um, in this movie that like I think anyone could take away at any
mm-hmm,
age, like you said. And I think what really for me puts it to the point of like being recommended is actually the payoff
the
of the
payoffs.
resolution. I think that's actually like one of probably like the better payoffs I've seen in a
Really?
film. Because like I mean, if you disregard the whole Brent thing, just randomly inserting himself. I mean, even with himself inserting himself, he like still plays an essential, like a pretty important role.
Mm-hmm.
And through this, you know, he kind of goes through his own character identity crisis, and it gets resolved because of his
Right.
addition to the team. But like, I think just like just encapsulating everything, like all the people that sort of were involved with the resolution, including like important characters such as like with his Sam and then his dad,
Mm-hmm.
his as in like the Flint, like the main characters. Like it's sort of like, and even like his past inventions, like all sort of being involved in, to some degree. Maybe not the TV, but like for the most part, like all being involved um,
Right.
to help with uh, like getting rid of this machine and saving him and all that stuff. Like it's just like it's really nice to see. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's a good like resolution.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of like elevates it enough for me to like recommend it in general.
Okay.
So that's like a 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, pretty decent film. Like better than I expected, better than I remembered. So, and it did spin off a sequel.
It did.
Um,
It did, which is
and
surprising,
it
right?
made it.
Totally different from its just one from a children's book, right?
A children's book also has sequels.
Did it? I
Yeah,
didn't realize that.
but apparently the sequel for the movie diverges from the sequel of the book.
Oh. Okay.
So, all right. Well, this ends today's discussion. We'll be back next week.
I
Yes.
could do it, yeah.
Wait, actually, I don't know if
Oh,
I'm.
you can't do it. Oh.
No. We'll
We'll
have to
see.
schedule accordingly, and then we'll be back whenever the schedule.
Sometime soon.
Within the next. Yes. Sometime soon. All right. Well,
All right.
with that, bid everyone here adieu, and yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye bye.